Greetings, everybody. Welcome once more back to the Dracovin Empire. I hope you're ready to dive back into the history of Magic the Gathering. We're going to be going back in time once more to the 2011s, to talk about a new product and new set of cards from the Vault's Legends. So we're doing another From the Vault series. We're going to learn all about it, learn what was going on, the cards that were there. These are all reprints of the set, but it's interesting to see them, their new arts, and why this would have been a very interesting product to buy. So if you're ready to head back in time, I, your host, Dracovin, can open up the time-space portal to take us there. Grab my hand. Please do like a little bit of a tip here, like subscribing to the bell, the YouTube stuff, appease the algorithm, and hey, did you unvault from the Vault's Legends? Do you ever get a chance to it? Or are any of these cards from it something that you really would have wanted to pick up? Hands outstretched. Let's go. Time awaits. The 2010s. Oh. Back in time once more. Alright, now that we are here, back in the 2011s, well, 2011 to be exact, let's learn all about From the Vault's Legends. So this is the fourth of the From the Vault set series that was going on. This was released on August 26th of 2011 and had a MSRP of $34.99. There's the symbol, a crown. It was developed by Mark Rosewater, Mark Gutebeck, and Jeremy Jarvis. It's meant to be multi-universal, had 15 cards, and it was technically expansion code V11, because I think it's Vault 2011, weirdly enough. Here's the box as it was shown. As you can see, it opens up to show some pictures inside there and stuff like that. So it had 15 legendary creature cards. It's from the Vault Legends. It's got legendary creature cards. It was all in black border in the post-8th edition card frame. So this is the modern frame as we know about it. And all have a holographic foil treatment. 7 of these cards actually have new alternate art. So 7 of the 8, new art. Again, this art may appear on future reprints of these cards, but this is the first time these 7 forms of these cards have this art. So also inside there was a newly designed spin-down life counter that bears the expansion set of symbol and a collector's guide. So yeah, this is one of the early times that we see the spin-down life counter instead of just a basic D20. We see the spin-down version of it that we probably know a lot more nowadays. Yep. Again, we had seen previous dice and stuff like that, but spin-downs basically being a very newer thing in a lot of ways. Actually. Anyway, fancy stuff. Let's talk cards. And again, because there's 15 cards, I'm going to go over them. And I'll go over the first 8 alternate art cards. Cool! Because there's 7 alternate art cards, 7 reprints, 1 special cards. So first off with alternate art, we have Teferi, Mages of Fear. Flash 1. Creatures you own that aren't on the battlefield have flash. Basically, when you cast something, it's getting flash. And each opponent can cast sorceries, spells only the time she casts the sorcerer. Basically, it prevents your opponent from using flash or instants, and allows you to have flash. Crush of the Bloodbraid, another one with new art. Whenever a creature dies, put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is that creature's power. Hey, you just keep getting bigger and bigger. We have Progenitus, the 10/10 Hydra avatar from the Shards of Alara block. Protection from everything. If you put in a graveyard from anywhere, reveal it and shuffle into its owner's library. Yep. The 10/10 for 10 mana. 2 of everything. A favorite of mine, Kiki-Jiki Mirror Breaker. Hey, Kiki-Jiki. I think you might have been in some places before. Anyway, a haste creature that taps to put a token of target of a copy of a non-legendary creature on the battlefield. It has haste and sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. So it's, yeah, good old Kiki-Jiki taps to double something for a turn. There's a lot of stuff that can be related to that that's important to talk about there that you can kind of go into this and stuff. Anyway, Rafik of the Many, an exalted creature, again from Alara, a 3/3 that if whenever a creature you control attacks alone and gains double strike until the turn. Not bad. We have Sharum the Hegemon, a flying 5/5 Stinks. That's also an artifact legend. Okay, again, we're going back in the lore here too. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Hey, blink this and you keep getting artifacts back. Thumbs up. Again, I'm pointing out where things are very useful here. Viscera the Dreadful. I like Viscera. You know, she was an interesting one. 5/5 flying Gorgon that taps destroy a creature that can't be regenerated. I liked it as a tap to destroy something. Yeah. Is it the best one of these kind of things? The best kind of creature destruction? I like Viscera. The art here is pretty cool, actually. Very interesting. Now for the non-new art reprints, we do have someone from Horrible 3. The, very Chinese-inspired set with Horsemanship. Su Quan, Lord of Wu. Creatures you control have Horsemanship. They can't be blocked by creatures with Horsemanship. Horsemanship, these sets answer to flying, which only showed up here. Make all your creatures unblockable. Anyway, thanks, Sun Quan. During the Siege Tower, the 0/5, where each creature assigns damage equal to its toughness rather than power, where a 0/5 means it does 5 damage and can take 5 damage. Thanks, Dorian. Cow, Lord of Wei, where target opponent discards 2 cards, activate this only during your turn, before attackers are declared. So basically, activate it during your first main phase. But you can have a target opponent, for just tapping, discard 2 cards. Hey, Captain Sisek. The original tap, search your library for legendary card, reveal it, put in your hand. In a legendary-based deck, Captain Sisek can still probably be very good. A Legends deck, hey, I can see that being very helpful still to this day. Legends deck that does have. I just don't get a lot of chance to use it. Omnath, Locus of Mana. Green mana doesn't empty from your mana pools as steps and phases end. Basically, it means as long as you have Omnath in, you basically have your green mana just starts building up. You gotta keep track of it. And it gets +1/+1 for each green mana in your mana pool. Meaning you keep building up green mana, it keeps getting bigger. Ona, Queen of the Fae, another one that I do really enjoy. I have in my black-blue deck. A flying that for X and a black-blue, choose a color. Target opponent exiles the top X cards in his or her library, and for each card that shows some color exiled this way, you get a fairy rogue on the battlefield. So yes, not only are you exiling cards, not milling cards from an opponent's library, you're getting fairies, and you're going to know your opponent's colors. So, it's very mean. Ona's very mean, I like it. Ulamog is back in here. The Infinite Gyre. When you cast it, destroy permanent, Annihilator 4, it's indestructible. And if it does end up in the graveyard from anywhere, it gets shuffled into owner's library. So if it somehow ends up in that graveyard, shuffle it in. You have to sacrifice it, shuffle it in. Good old Ulamog, the 11 mana 10/10. One of the Eldrazi Titans from the original Zendikar block. And then finally, we have our preview card. Yes, this is Machias the Lunarch, which I would say, oh, that's a reprint from Innistrad. Innistrad isn't out yet. This is the first release as a preview card in this set, and it was given wide release later on this very year that this set came out in 2011 as a full release. So this is basically this set previewing a mythic from Innistrad. Yeah. Yep. Now there are some places that he's been rare in the future, like Double Masters showed up as rare, but he's mostly mythic. But there you go. That's an interesting thing about him, and he's an interesting one. Not a super great card, but I've used him in a deck before. Enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters. You can tap to put +1/+1 counter on him, or you can tap to remove a counter and give a counter to all your other creatures. This is a good way in +1/+1 counter decks to get them start to spread them out, you know, because he can add more to himself and spread them to all your other creatures in decks where it matters. Things like, honestly, like Doubling Season, where you tap him, add 2 counters, tap him, remove a counter, add 2 counters to everybody else. So you only got rid of 1 counter from him, or other things that double the amount of counters you do. Things that +1/+1 counters matter. There are decks that Machias can be very good in, depending on the deck. But again, it's the build of the deck. And the content battle, very interesting. But there you go. From the Vault's Legends. An interesting selection of legends, to say the least. And again, we have to look at the time. There's plenty of left. There are plenty of better legends that have come out since then. Certainly speaking, I'm not going to argue against that fact. But it was a very good selection of legends at the time that was very interesting. And it was one that I feel like fits the From the Vault's mentality pretty well. And yeah, there's a bunch of them that I can point out and be like, I can see places for those. I can see places for those. And I do feel like, you know, certainly speaking, open places that have gotten their money. Definitely things like the original Ulamog and Kiki-Jiki are up there in price. And I'm pretty sure our good friends, the two from the Portal 3 Kingdoms, yeah, their reprints are a lot cheaper than their originals. But still, I think there's probably pretty good value in this set. A lot of good cards that are... So, you know, probably not going to get as cheap as it was nowadays. But back in the day, I think it would have been worth it to get. So, I hope you enjoyed learning about it. And again, some of these things have had reprints since then. Whether or not they're using the new art. Things like Kiki-Jiki, when he got reprinted a bunch of times. And things like Modern Masters and Comic Masters, he got the newer art here rather than the original art. So the original art has shown up. Okay. Anyway, alright. We'll leave that there. Oh, there we go, pop back. It was being a little laggy. I hope you enjoyed learning about From the Vault's Legends. It's a very interesting one. Very fun little product here that, at its time, was pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. I think I could have gotten this a thumbs up and recommended it at its time, even though it had a really good selection. But I think one of those things that's from the Vault series always was difficult to get. And I think this is kind of like a little bit of a thing that's about the entire series that I probably want to mention at the end of each of these. I always remember trying to look out for these and having a hard time finding them. You kind of had to get lucky, and even then, most stores that got them only got a small selection of them. So I had to both get lucky in that your store that you're going to had them, and then they also didn't get sold out. From the Vault series was really cool. Hard to get now. Anyway, please check out the rest of my stuff, whether it's here or elsewhere. Here, where I'm either over on YouTube or Twitch. Twitch, I record a lot of my tabletop stuff live. I chat about other tabletop stuff. I have other things like gameplay, where we're chatting, you know, a lot of things that I do over there. But all the tabletop-related stuff, all the tabletop content, goes up on YouTube. So if you just want to see tabletop stuff, you can check it out. Please, wherever you are, give support, especially on the YouTube side. Hey, the algorithm, keys that, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and if you want From the Vault stuff. I had trouble getting these. I don't remember all the From the Vault series I got. I have to look up all the ones I ended up with. I did end up with a couple of them. There were just a lot more than I ever ended up with. So let me know what your experience with the From the Vault series. You know, let me know in the comments below. And please remember to check out my social medias. Got updates on the schedule, tactics, other things like that. And hey, have a good rest of your day. Thank you for joining. Be ready for the next time we talk about Magic history, another interesting set, or dive into something else related to tabletop. But until then, I bid all of you out there a deep and wonderful farewell.